Before we get started, I have a statement to read from Indivisible Houston. The president, Daniel Cohen, released this statement, and it's very important. Let me read his statement, and I want comments when we get into the comment areas. It goes as follows. The DSCC decision to weigh in on the Texas Senate race directly encroaches on our democracy. By picking MJ Hagar, who declined to attend the Indivisible Texas statewide candidate issues forum just last week, they have decided to put out their thumb on scale against other candidates. They have decided to inject money and top-down ivory tower influence into our home state. In the 2018 election cycle, the Democratic establishment weighed in on local congressional primary when the DCC decided to attack Laura Moser, a decision we abhorred and denounced for influencing the outcome of the race in the TX07. They have had 2 years to take us seriously. Yet, yesterday we learned not only of the DSCC's decision to interject themselves into our Texas Senate race, but also several other major strategic and moral missteps by its counterpart in the House. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, we already knew that the DCCC has announced that they would blacklist any vendors that worked for candidates who challenged Democratic Party incumbents. But yesterday, The Intercept reported that the DCCC itself continued to work with Republican candidates who challenged Democratic candidates last election cycle, and the vendors assisting those Republicans would be allowed to continue operating. Well, folks, when I talk about the establishment being all in one the same, Daniel Cohen in this statement makes that clear. Worse, a newly elected member of Congress, New Jersey 02, who was carried over the finish line by the DCCC in a competitive 2018 primary, is now poised to switch parties to defend Donald Trump. It is appalling that the DCCC, who claims to prioritize fighting Donald Trump, put their name, their time, their effort, their resources, and energy into electing Jeff Van Drew. Van Drew is serving his own self-interest by covering the backside of the White House at one of the most pivotal moments in the history of American democracy. This was an enormous failure. We believe Texans are in charge of our own destiny, not Chuck Schumer, not Ben Lujan, and not anyone else in national Democratic politics who seeks to silence the voters. To the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, let the process play out. We, the people of Texas, can pick our own candidates in both primary elections and in general elections without assistance or influence from systematically biased Beltway politicians. Signed, Indivisible Houston, President Daniel J. Cohen. I called Daniel before I read this because I wanted to make sure to get this online. But anyhow, folks, we've been speaking a whole lot about how we are going to win 2020. 2020 will not be won by folks selecting people because the plutocracy prefers to have corporatists in office. It won't work. I spoke to a very active activist yesterday when she called me, and I told her, she said, Egberto, I'm scared about 2020. And I said to her, do not be scared. Progressives will ensure that we win 2020 big. The only people that can stop us from winning 2020 is the Democratic establishment playing ball. The only way that the people who deserve to win in 2020 will not win is influence from the establishment of the Democratic Party. There is absolutely no other way for there to be a loss. I want every Democrat, every independent, every person in this state listening to me, in this country listening to me right now, to understand that the only way to lose is to allow the plutocracy to interject itself into the voice of the people, to replace the voice of the people, to do what El Señor Bloomberg, thank you for that beautiful daughter of mine, the only way is to get the plutocracy involved, to get what Bloomberg is doing. But anyhow, let's go ahead, folks, my brothers and my sister, my beautiful people out there, let's get started with the program.